As I've told you many times, the recordings of these meetings are being put on YouTube and Facebook, and uh, there's hundreds of them now. I mean, there's over 300 of these videos that are there for people to, go and get reference to the work, to brush, whatever, I mean, I think from what I've heard, they're really good videos that really help people. So I'm just saying that they're there for people to use. I hope you all use them. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes.
is it possible to feel sadness from my children's sadness,
To
my
feel
family's?
a sadness for what? Yeah, of course it's possible to feel a sadness.
From my question is, sometimes I think I can feel that my children are sad and they have problems, and I go to inside them, and it hurts me, and I try just to.
Look, yes, look, we all have problems. Everybody does. And your job is to just love them unconditionally, not to get caught up in the sadness, not to get caught up in the problems, but just be a nurturing force in their life that enables them to truly come to you and maybe talk about things, and they, that the energy, the Shakti that goes through you can be a teacher for yourself and for them. I mean, that's really important. I mean, when it comes to those kind of connections, the connections between parents and children are the most essential. You can walk away from anything in your life but your parents and your children. And that requires unconditional love. It requires a depth of surrender that can only enable you to grow and have a spiritual life. So it's a two-way thing. One is you can nurture your children, and secondly, your chakra system will get strong enough to connect with higher energy, because that's where you've got to get the energy to do what I'm talking about. So, yes, I mean, the whole secret in all of this is learning how to love unconditionally. And there's no better place to start than with one's children and with one's parents. And we've all had trouble in both those areas, Parents are not perfect, children are not perfect. But our job is to get strong enough inside to be able to nurture, people who, are in that lineage, our children and our parents. I mean, I had that situation. I had a really rough time with my family when I was younger. And, when my mother came to me and said, Stuart, I'd like to come to your meditation classes, I cannot tell you what kind of a change took place inside me to sit there and do this profound inner meditation with my mother. Same thing happened the other day. My daughter came to meditation practice. Now, this was not possible 5 years ago, but because of the growth that has taken place in me, it made room for this kind of thing to happen. And it's the same way with all of us. When it comes to parents and children, we cannot walk away. No matter what they've done to us, they're still our parents and they're still our children.
It's 2 o'clock.
And we have to get big enough to learn how to love them unconditionally.
I love them and I understand them, but it's so pain in my inside of me. Sometimes.
Laura, get over the pain. When there's unconditional love, that pain disappears. There isn't that pain. That pain is the unwillingness to really open one's heart in enough depth to love people unconditionally. That's where that pain comes from. So you are here working on yourself and hopefully learning how to do that. And not only you, Please try and stop moving. Everybody here, myself included, we have to consciously learn how to do this. And then the pain, that pain goes away, because that's the pain of resistance, of not really opening unconditionally to love another human being. And you get really strong doing this. You know, it's amazing how strong you get inside yourself and how connected you get to higher energy, because you cannot get that kind of love anywhere else. Everything on this planet is imperfect. You know, but that unconditional love, it has to be gotten from a connection with, you know, God, spirit, you know, higher energy, whatever one wants to call it, you know? And what amazing growth takes place in a human being when they can do that. You become a different kind of person. I hope this is clear, because this is so important. And I'm glad you brought this up, Flora, because it's such an important element to the evolution of consciousness in a human being and the development of a spiritual life in a human being. Because unless it manifests in the way we deal with the earth and deal with things we have to deal with on the earth, then it's, you know, what's the point? It has to have some practical manifestation. And what better place than between parents and children? And I know, look, I went through a lot of crap with my parents. I'm telling you, you know, I mean, when I was 16 years old, I was ready to run away from home and go live somewhere. I mean, not that they were bad people. It's that I needed a different kind of life than my family was offering me. And when I was 16, by the time I was 18, I left home, and you know, I mean, it was a different world. Life wasn't quite as expensively crazy as it is today. But I knew that I had to go find another way. And I knew that that cycle would come about again. And it really started to come about when my aunt came up to me at a big family dinner, told me that my cousin was sick and dying of cancer in the hospital. And can you go there? And I know you do this healing work, you do this meditation, all this stuff I don't understand, but you do it. Can you help her? And that whole cycle began to change, especially when my cousin, who was told she had 3-4 weeks to live, the cancer went into complete remission and she walked out of the hospital. My whole relationship with my family changed. And it didn't in no way interfered with my goal to have a spiritual life, the change that took place. It just got better. It made it better for me. And then 6 months later, my mother comes up to me, can I come to your meditation classes? I said, yes, come. It all changes, you know? We're so worried about this moment, not realizing it will pass. And if we continue to grow, we attract life on a different level. If we want it to be the way we want it in our heads, then this is what we got. And don't complain about it, you know, this is what we got. If we continue to grow, that cycle really changes. And things manifest that you never dreamed could manifest in your life, especially with family. It's amazing how that dynamic changes.
And I'm feeling my mother now and this pain.
Good, good. Love her.
It's very, very sad, and I'm crying. I don't know why. I feel that she's maybe nearby me. I don't know why. Because
Look,
I've cried
wait a
enough.
minute. Let me tell you another story. I tell a lot of stories, okay? The day before my mother died, I was sitting in her bedroom and meditating with her. She wasn't meditating. She was in a, kind of almost like a coma. She was ready to pass on. And my father's soul came into the room. He was sitting at the edge of the bed, and the whole room was just full of light. And he said to her, "Come, I'm waiting." It was extraordinary. I mean, what an education for me to see that type of thing and to see that kind of thing manifest right in front. The next day, my mother left. And I told her just before she died, don't, she was suffering a great deal. And I said, you don't have to hang on. I can take care of myself. My sister can take care of herself. You don't have to spend, another 10 years suffering like that. Just let go. She let go. Now, it took an enormous amount of growth in me to sit with my own mother and say that kind of thing. I mean, she was 87 years old. She had a full life. But to me, that's an essential element in spiritual practice, is connecting with our family that way. Especially, not extended family, but parents and children.
I was with my mother too when she died, and I prayed so much. And the room, well, it was full with light. It was very much, very special, beautiful. But after that, I just felt very sadness and emptiness. And now
Well,
it's coming back sometimes.
look, Flora, that sadness is part of it. You just have to let it go. That's all. It's just part of grieving, we all grieve, I mean, when my teacher Rudy died, who was probably closer to me than even my family, I loved him unconditionally. The man who saved my life, basically, made it possible for me to be sitting here doing this right now. I mean, my first thought, we hit a mountain in an airplane, and the miracle of God is I survived. And my first thought was, Stuart, now you'll find out what the last 6 years were really about. Did you learn? Did you learn? There was no sadness in me because he never left. He was in my heart. And to this day, he's been living in my heart. He's never left me. Did you learn what you had to learn from this amazing being that God put in your life? And the next 20 years will tell you whether you really learned what you were born here to learn from this person. There was no sadness. It was a miracle to have spent 6 years. It was a miracle to have spent, so many years with my mother. My father died when I was 16 years old. That was very painful. I was a young kid. But also, I discovered later on that my father was my first great teacher. It was his death that initiated my spiritual quest. It began me saying, Stuart, you got to find something in this world that transcends everything that you see around you. And he became my first, the last, 2 days of his life, he became my first great teacher, my father. And they all live in my heart. Mother, father, Rudy, Nityananda, they're not gone. And unconditional love enables one to connect with these great souls that way. I mean, I've had so many experiences like this that I can't tell you, of people who have passed on who are very close to me. And they're all in my heart. Every one of them I am grateful for because they all became important teachers in my life. Notice, there was a young girl who used to live in Texas when I was running an ashram there. And, I'll never forget her sister used to live in the ashram. And she told me about this young girl who was in an automobile accident and severed her spine at the neck and now was a quadriplegic. She couldn't move her arms or legs. And she was like 18 years old, 17, 19, something like that then. And I went to see them. They were living in this little house somewhere in the, my God, the prairies of Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. And I walked in the door and my heart broke. It was like seeing my own daughter, a quadriplegic. I mean, it just brought tears to my eyes. This child was so precious. And I said to her and her mother, I just met them once. I said, if you want to come live in my house at the ashram in Denton, there's a place for you. You're very welcome to come. And they came and visited and then came to me and said they wanted to live there. Now, the incredible thing is this young lady was there for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years with her mother. And she was even beginning to move her limbs a little bit. Her fingers could move a little bit. She came to every meditation. I used to do healing work with her at least 2 or 3 times a week, and one day she caught pneumonia and she had to go to the hospital and she came out of the hospital in a coma. And it was one of the most heart-wrenching things I'd ever been through. And this young girl, quadriplegic, she had a boyfriend who took care of her and loved her. I mean, unbelievable. The love was so staggering that it used to bring tears to my eyes when I would see the two of them together. It was so amazing, And then this young person died. She was maybe 21 years old when she died. But what I learned in that situation is irreplaceable. What she meant to me. And then I hadn't seen her boyfriend literally in 20 years, maybe more. Just kind of vanished when I moved back to New York. And about 2 months ago, he gets in touch with me, telling me that I was one of the most important people in his life. He would like to attend my classes again. And now he's shown up in my classes. So these cycles have a way of, I'm telling you, it just filled my heart so profoundly to see him, to see this person, and to remember that incredible experience that I went through with this young woman. So cycles complete themselves. You never know what God has to teach you. We have to be open. Everything has to get us stronger so that we can learn from the experiences we have in our life and how they help us to grow as human beings. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be a meditation on Tuesday. Hopefully I'll see you all then. And again, God bless you all for being here, for dragging all this stuff out of me, which I need to listen to and help me to learn and grow. And God bless you all. And I am looking forward to seeing everybody, in the next class on Tuesday. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Stuart.
you.